Well, let's say we have periods. So the periods for Feng Shui is period one is 1864 to 1884, but it continues. So let's start with period six. So period six was 1964 to 1984. Period seven is 1984 till 2004. Period eight is 2004 to 2024. Period nine is 2024 to 2044. Why are these important? Because we use these to figure out our chart. So we want to know what year we moved into a house. I don't go by the period that the house was built. I go by the period that you move in. So let's say that we moved in 1986, we'd be in period seven. So our house chart would have to start with the seven in the center of the house, and then we'd fly our stars in that position. Okay, so if say this is the layout, not the layout for the house, but the diagram that we use in order to put the stars in the layout of the house, we have period seven in the center. So we fly the period stars always in the positive direction, so going upwards. So we have 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That would be the date that you moved into your house. That's how that period would start. Then deciding on the period of the direction of the house, if in order to put the numbers onto the diagram on the layout of the house, you have to follow this chart. This is the way I follow the chart. So when you take your facing, which is this direction, so see the facing is 90 degrees, okay, and it's facing east. So the east is the facing and the west is the sitting. All right. The west and the east determine what the mountain and the water star are in the center. So the 5 is the east permanent star when you moved in. So the 5 star goes to the water star. The facing is always the water star. And the mountain star is missing the 9 here. So the 9, well, not the 9, but I gotta fix that. The 9 is the sitting position. So the 9 is the mountain star. Okay. I won't go into how you fly those because it's a little complicated, but what I want to focus on today is the combination stars. So I'm going to go through a few of the combination stars. Okay, so now you see that for example, we're going to do the number 1 and the number 2, and we have a number 1 and a number 2 in this area. Okay, so let's focus on those two for now. So if we have a 1 and a 2 combination in an area of the house, it can create conflict between husband and wife and abdominal disorders. And the reason for that is because earth, number 2 is earth. Earth controls water. Okay, so anytime that you have earth controlling water, you are causing energy to be conflicting. So that means that there's too much earth energy in the room. And if the number 2 star is the wealth star in the center or in the room of the area that you're in, and you keep triggering, and there's a lot of activity in that room, then you're triggering the number 2, and the number 2 has to do with illness. So you could be having abdominal disorders. And in order to correct that, remember, we have to weaken the earth star. So to weaken the earth star, we have to add metal in order to weaken the earth star. It takes away from the energy of the earth because it keeps the number 2 busy creating metal. So what you do is you can add anything in a round shape that is a metal object or a mirror, or anything that is a heavy object, like a metal object would be a good idea. Or you could add a gourd. And apparently these are actually good for to weaken the number 2 for the sickness. Okay. But remember that the number 1 and 2 are conflicting, and it does conflict between the husband and the wife. So that's for the 1 and the 2. So I'll just continue. So for the number 1 and 3, so say you had a 1 and a 3 in the room. So you have a water element and a wood element. Okay. So the number 1 water is actually producing wood. So water feeds wood. So it means that you would have good energy in this. This would be a good combination because it actually creates rich and famous or moving away. Okay, so this combination, you wouldn't have to correct it because it's actually a good combination. So what you would do is you could enhance it. So this would be a good area to put a water fountain in, depending if you have no bad energies like a number 5 or a number 2. But a water element, so anything wavy, and if it's red, that's good. Anything pointing is a fire element. And what you want to do is you want to add some fire to the number 3. So this would be an element of fire. So you want to add fire energy to the wood because you want to create and birth energy from the wood. So you don't want the energy of water just to build wood. You want wood to create fire so that the energy continues and doesn't stay stagnant here and not do anything. Okay. So that's for the 1 and the 3. And the 1 and the 5. So the 1 and the 5 is like the same as the 1 and the 2. All right. It creates ear disorders, and that depends on the direction of the bagua will describe which area of the body it affects. Okay. So we have earth and water. So earth is conflicting water. Okay. So it's blocking water. So we have to add metal object, and it has to be a strong object. Okay. So we can add a grandfather clock. That's a metal object. And we can have a grand piano. I sometimes find little artificial pianos at a secondhand store. They're just ornaments, but the symbology of it is still the same because not everybody can afford a grand piano. And then we have the emperor's gold. So anything that's a gold color, okay, that would help. Or anything round and metal and a heavy object, or even a salt cube. So that's kind of where the flying stars are important to know and understand, so you can correct them so that they don't cause any illness or diseases. And yeah, so I'll make a little bit more videos on this.